appreciate your time. Ain't nothing wrong with this.
Thank you.
For why? And oh, table.
It is 7 p.m. Monday, April 20th, 2026. It's time to call the Ferrysburg City Council meeting to order. Amber, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember Montgomery,
Here.
Councilmember Sias,
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Here.
Councilmember Kate,
Here.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Here.
Councilmember Cook,
Here.
Mayor Carlson.
Here. If we could rise for the invocation by Councilmember Bill Kate, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Gracious God, we thank you so much for gathering us all together safely. We pray for your blessings of guidance and direction in our meeting, in our discussions, and we pray that you would always keep us mindful that you have called us. I ask this.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you all. It's always good to see a full slate of us all here again today. Moving on to agenda item number 5, public comments. This time on the agenda is for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to the city council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please position yourself in line near the wall where the podium is located to ensure visibility and to be recognized. And after being recognized by the mayor, please give your name and your address of residency for the record and proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment.
Hello, Nicole Larabelle, 16814 Virginia Avenue. Here to talk about rezoning the Inland Lake overlay, how R4 does not have the right to rebuild the same home on the same footprint that people have now. I actually took the time to measure every single house in the overlay on the GIS to see just how many houses don't meet the current setbacks. And when I emailed that list to you, it turned out to be 153 out of 170 houses that do not meet all setbacks currently. Now, when we get rezoned, some properties will benefit from these new setbacks, but some properties won't. The homes on Cecilia especially that would have to meet a 30-foot setback from the water, if those houses were to tear down and be rebuilt someday, they would need to be built in a different location they are now, and that could make them smaller. And the examples that I sent you, it does make them smaller. But I wanted to read to you something that I thought was very moving. It was about an event that happened in 1990. When the ADA Act, Americans with Disability Act, was stuck in limbo and it hasn't passed yet, a group of activists came and they marched from the Capitol. They marched from the White House to the Capitol and they laid down their wheelchairs and they crawled up 83 steps to the Capitol. And that march that they did climbing was photographed in the New York Times. There were children crawling up the steps fighting for disability rights. when you talk about not being able to rebuild your house on the same footprint, you are saying no to people that want to build their house on a slab and not have any steps anymore. When I had to move my grandma out of her house because she couldn't do the steps anymore, we had to put her in assisted living, which costs a lot more. And I don't think everybody is set up to do that. You know, I think people are going to want to live in their houses longer and rebuild them so that they don't have stairs and so they don't have water problems, because we know the overlay homes have water problems. We see the hoses stretched out to the roads when it rains from people pumping water out of their houses and into the roadway and making its way into Spring Lake and Smith's Bayou. This groundwater problem could all be solved with houses having the right to rebuild the same footprint, the same size that they are now. It's good for the city when people rebuild. It brings in more tax dollars.
Thank you.
Hi.
Good
Charles-
evening.
Charles Farkas, 16924 Landing Drive. I'm a board member of Vites Landing, and I'm here to talk very briefly about Smith's Bridge and the parking structure. I just want to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to the council for your thoughtful consideration and support on the fishermen's parking issue. We understand that your decision is not to move 4 or 5 parking spaces from one side of the street to the other, and that the engineering plan will be adjusted to the appropriate time, or at the appropriate time to reflect this decision. We also understand there may be unavoidable damage to some trees considering the bridge repair work to be done. However, since the parking project is unrelated to the bridge work, it would not improve any safety concerns and costly carrying out. Reconstruction of paving would be required. We are grateful that this decision will also minimize landscaping damage as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dominica Montalvo, Executive Director at Tri-Cities Habitat for Humanity, and I am here tonight to talk about the connection charges that we have for our 2 future homes. One is 17270 Lane Avenue, and one is 17495 Ridge Avenue. The amounts that we are being charged for the connection fees were $16,160 for the Lane home and $16,165 for the Ridge home. These water and sewer fees represent about 8 to 10% of the construction budgets that we have for these homes, and that's without even moving a shovel full of dirt. We're a nonprofit charity, and we rely on the sales of our 2 projects to be able to continue to build homes and to be able to offer them at an affordable rate so that people can have attainable housing that's going to be sustainable. Our prior home builds within the last couple of years, Grand Haven, we paid between $4,000 and $5,000 for the hookups, and then in Roosevelt Park, we paid $4,000 for city water and sewer charges. So they're not even close to what we're being charged for Ferrysburg. So what we are asking for, I have a letter too that I'll give you, but we are just asking that those amounts could be reviewed and revised, and to see if there is a way that we could get some relief on that so that we can move forward with the build of these houses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Craig, could we review the charges and see what we could do, if anything?
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Craig, this isn't the first time this issue's come up. Well, why is Ferrysburg so more expensive than other municipalities in the area for hookup? Any idea?
The
Okay,
water
there's-
tastes better.
There you go. I'll get some information and have it for the next agenda.
I like the water tastes better. Josh Bruger, Ottawa County Commissioner hat on tonight. I will second Habitat for Humanity, great organization. At the county, we were able to set aside about $250,000 to help them build 2 houses for veterans. I suspect one of them may be here. Hopefully they don't go out of all the water fees. How about that? Anything you guys can do to help them would probably be great. I just wanted to give you a brief update on what's going on at the county, which is why I'm here this evening. A couple topics to talk about. Number one, community mental health and the parks system millages are both planned to be on the August ballot. Both are renewals of 10-year millages. The community mental health millages is 0.3 mils, and the parks millages is 0.33 mils. Those are vital to Ottawa County maintaining the parks that we have and supporting our community mental health services, especially for those who do not qualify for Medicaid services. They rely on that CMH millage to get things done to help them out. Next update, I guess it's appropriate, expanding our housing commission. Right now, the county has a housing commission. It has 5 members, and it was formed under a state statute probably 15 years ago. We've discovered that the state statute in our case is actually pretty limiting in that we do not at the county pass out things like Section 8 vouchers or do true government housing. And so we're looking at removing the stepping aside from the state statute and forming our own housing commission that can focus exclusively on Ottawa County issues. We'll enlarge it from 5 members to 11 to maybe 13 members so we can get some more involvement from all of our communities and stakeholders. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up soon. Last thing is probably just a heads up, and I met with Mayor Carlson last week to talk a little bit about this, but we have surprisingly, a water supply situation in Ottawa County. We live next to Lake Michigan. We've got the Grand River here, Lake Macatawa down in Holland. I wouldn't drink out of either of those directly, but at any rate, we have water in abundance. However, the Marshall Aquifer, which sits underneath the majority of Ottawa County, is actually drying up. It is being overused from the expansion of a lot of housing subdivisions out into what was formerly farmland. So combine the farmland pressure on the aquifer and the increased housing demand from people watering their lawns and planting flowers and things like that, and the Marshall Aquifer is actually dropping down. So much so that we had interviews for our groundwater board a couple months ago. I asked one of our local well drillers, how often does he get calls? He said in the summertime he gets up to 10 calls a week of wells running dry. So something we're keeping an eye on and looking at solutions, and I see I'm running out of time. Oh, wow. Actually, I could watch that. No, I'm done. Thank you very much for your time. Any questions? I'm going to stick around to talk about zoning. To listen in on zoning. Councilmember Sias gave me a heads up. So excited to hear what you guys are doing. Thanks.
My name is Stan Stirk. I'm here as a resident at 16844 Landing Drive and a member of the Vites Board of Directors. I'm here to talk about Smith's Bridge, in particular the contract between MDOT and the city. It was said at the last meeting that we're 20% design done and that we should wait till we're 100 to make any changes. I went through the contract with MDOT that was in the handout last month. Number 2 says the betterments are the city cost. Number 3 says city to approve design, intent, and accept full responsibility for the construction project. City is solely responsible for any inputs which it provides. Also, number 9 says the contract is MDOT is there. All the work is to assist the city. Further on, it states that everything is a responsibility of the city. It's the city's project, not MDOT's. MDOT is your contractor who is then subbing it out to somebody else. It is you, as the council, that make the decisions on how the design is and what gets designed. So it is your responsibility from our perspective to keep the parking lot on the west side. The design shows constricting of the bike path. And I bet if you talk to MDOT today and you wanted a grant for a new bike path, the standards would be 12 foot rather than 6 or 10. And right now you got an 8-footer that you're constricting to 6 based on the design that we've seen. And I'm asking you to move now to tell MDOT that you don't want the parking on the east side of the road, but put it back on the west and leave it where it is. My best guess is you might be saving $100,000+ by leaving the parking where it is. So respectfully, thank you for going ahead on the Smiths Bridge. It's just we're not interested in having the parking on the west side. And also, parking is much less disruptive there. The house that's sitting there is probably over 100 years old, and I don't think is owned by local individuals. And the property taxes are probably kept at a very, very low rate because it's been grandfathered since the early 1900s.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment tonight before we move on? Seeing none, let's go. Agenda item number 6, consideration of approval of the consent agenda. 6A, approve the April 8th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes as printed. 6B, approve the bills memo in the amount of $75,507.46. Can I entertain a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
Any questions or comments on this before we vote? Seeing none. Amber?
Councilmember Sias.
Yay.
Councilmember Cook.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on to agenda item number 7, new business. 7A, a presentation by Jim the Shark Dryer. Mr. Dryer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, City Council, members of the Ferryburg community. I'm really happy to be here. I've been a member of the community now for 7 years. Prior to that, I moved from Byron Center, so not too far away. And like I said, I'm proud to be a member of this community, and actually this is where I'll spend the rest of my days. I should be by the lake shore. So you may know me as the Great Lakes swimmer, more on that in a minute, but I'm also a professional event manager since my college days in 1986, which kind of dates me a little bit. Started my own business managing events in 1993, but I'm really excited to tell you about an event tied to the US 250th birthday that I'm going to be involved with this year. We're going to build a US 250th Combat Veterans Memorial out of cannonballs, which of course is fitting, you know, to honor the military. And this new memorial sculpture will basically honor all of those who fought to win and preserve the freedom of this great nation for 250 years. Why not build it here in Ferrysburg? And this is my hometown. We've got 6 different locations along the West Michigan Lakeshore that are interested in hosting this memorial site. But I gotta admit, you know, my heart is where I call home. Now, you know, you could make the argument for Grand Haven, you could make the argument for Spring Lake as well, we're the Tri-Cities, but I live here in Ferrysburg, so that's number 1 with my heart. You can flip the slide. A little bit about me. Once again, they call me the Shark. You can call me Jim, or you can call me Shark. Best known for swimming across all 5 Great Lakes and earning what Stan Lee called superhuman status for pulling a 27-ton car ferry across Newport Beach Harbor in the History Channel show Great Lakes Stan Lee's Superhumans on the History Channel. So just some of the crazy stuff that I do. But this year, here's what I'm planning to do. To commemorate, as I said, the 250th birthday, and to honor all valorous combat veterans for all of posterity with a memorial, I'm gonna pull 250 cannonballs, which is like 1,500 pounds, in a dinghy for 22 miles. I'll have 249 of those cannonballs in a dinghy, and I'll have 1 on my back for my father, who was a World War II combat veteran. Now, why 22 miles? 22 is the number most associated with the number of daily veteran suicides due to post-traumatic stress. So whether that's 22 miles along the lake shore, or that's me going out 22 miles in the middle of the lake and swimming in, we'll have to determine that, but it will be 22 miles. Yeah, basically that is what I basically just explained. So I guess that's supposed to be me there. But, you know, pulling 249 in a dinghy and then one on my back in a rucksack. And now having an experience pulling a lot of weight in the water, you know, that's difficult. But something on your back that's trying to drown you, that's a whole other thing. Okay. Well worth the effort, though. Here is a model of what this is going to look like. Now, the AI model kind of had a hard time with the cannonballs. They want to make them all look like bowling balls. They're really not that big. They're 6-pounders, which was the most popular cannonball in the Revolutionary War, a 6-pounder, which is 3.6 inches across. What is correct here is kind of the scale. It shows a man standing next to it. There would be a couple of steps. So to see the bottom cannonballs with the plaques that are honoring the veterans, you wouldn't have to get down on your belly to see them. You know what I mean? You could just bend over and look at them. And, you know, an average-sized person of average height could get on the top step and then read the top cannonballs. At the top, there would also be an eagle, as you see. Okay. Yeah, people will be able to purchase cannonballs to honor a loved one. And here I've just kind of got an example of you know, what a plaque might read to honor my dad. So his rank, branch of service, if the branch of service had a nickname like the Mighty Eighth, with which the U.S. Army Corps did in World War II, the years served, and who honored them. So if you were to purchase a cannonball, your name would be up there too. We'll recognize KIAs, MIAs, and POWs as well. And I'm not going to read this, but this is just an example of what the plaque on the site could read. And basically, it's going to talk about America's 250th birthday. It's talk about the veterans who sacrificed and fought to preserve our freedom for 250 years, and it'll tell a story about how the cannonballs got there. The whole idea would be to swim to the site, if I can, and deliver the cannonballs. So we had talked, Mr. Cates and myself had talked about the possibility of William Ferry Park, which makes sense. It's right there on the water. It's a beautiful location for it. I could actually swim to that location. Now I realize after 22 miles pulling 1,500 pounds, a cannonball on your back, and now you're swimming upstream in the Grand River, a little bit of a challenge, but been there, done it. I believe I can do it. Okay, you can roll it. Not going to go through this. This will bore you to tears, but there's a lot of geometry involved. It's a pentagonal pyramid. So there'll be 5 shapes. Pentagon is in our U.S. Department of Defense. The key measurements here is how big is it. So the frame itself would be about 34 3/4 square feet. The whole memorial itself would just be a little over 7 feet, and that's not including the eagle on top. And the width would also just be a little over 7 feet. The base dimensions with the stairs and everything, that's a little bit larger, about 113 plus square feet, and a width of just over 13 feet. But still not a huge, huge footprint. If you really wanted to see all the specs and get bored, you just click on that link up there. Okay. What will it cost? Here's the beauty of it all. I'm still getting quotes coming in, and the next slide after this will show you some of the people that I'm working with. But we believe the sale of these cannonballs are pretty much or completely going to cover the cost of this. We really think it's not a matter of funding. You know, we believe it'll be funded. It's just, when do we start building? When is groundbreaking? And there's really no big hurry for that. Some of the things to consider in the cost: site excavation, electricity for lighting, if we want to light it up at night, laying or pouring a foundation, I should say, hiring an artist / sculptor and or fabricator, paying for their time, materials, and residency if not local, the negotiated price for supplying and delivering the cannonballs, storage of the cannonballs while waiting for the project to start, date to be determined, swim expenses, and ongoing scheduled maintenance, which the specifics would still need to be determined. Here's some of the companies, people I'm working with. Cunningham and Associates, they're getting our bids right now. Grand Valley State University Art Department, they have identified artists and sculptors, given me recommendations. We believe we've got it narrowed down. Everybody seems to agree on a gentleman named Ken Thompson. He is from the Blissfield, Michigan area near Toledo. He's done a number of great projects, including just veteran memorials. He's done a few of those. And if you were to click on that link, you could kind of check them out. Sports Facility Group, they're supplying the cannonballs and the delivery. Ravens Strategic Group, they are my swim support. We still need an excavator, we still need an electrical contractor if applicable, a masonry contractor and or bricklayer, and a storage location. You know, this is still a work in progress. Once again, if Ferrisburg decided they did want to have this memorial, you know, we are open to working with any preferred contractors that the city already has an arrangement with. This is just kind of a funny little thing here, but I know Ferrisburg was born in 1963. I was born in 1963. So we're the same age, and we both turned 63 this year in 2026 when America celebrates its 250th birthday. So shouldn't the finish line for this historic swim and the construction of this commemorative memorial be in Ferrisburg? And that's it. Here's my contact information if anybody would like a copy of this presentation, because there are some links in it that you can click on, you know, to check out and get some more information. Please contact me, and I would be very happy to send it to you. I think that's primarily it, but you can flip it, yeah. That's just gonna be the website, and as soon as we have a location that's confirmed, and I know where I'm swimming, then the press releases are gonna go out. I'll bring the press, and then the website will go live and announce this whole project. So you might be familiar with the project that I managed last summer, the Edmund Fitzgerald Memorial Swim for the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald. We finished that route, 411 miles, 70 swimmers swam a relay carrying iron ore and delivering it to Mayor Mike Duggan of Detroit to symbolically finish the route and forever memorialize those 29 men. I view this as another legacy project that's gonna outlive all of us. So I hope you give it some consideration, everybody, and would love to talk with any and all of you more about this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, comments from the council?
Yeah, I got a couple. Could you come back up? So, the city would be responsible for the base, the concrete base, for the cannonballs?
Well, because we haven't got that quote yet, I do believe that we would be able to cover that cost. But one of the thoughts that I did have, I mean, obviously it would help the budget if the Department of Public Works were able to cover that. But at the same time, I believe that we may raise enough funds with these cannonballs. In fact, it looks pretty good. I mean, there's still some quotes we're waiting on, but it could be covered. And I know that would obviously be appealing if it didn't cost the city anything. But I do throw it out to, you know, the Department of Public Works as, you know, a possibility. But for the city to cover it. But at the same time, I think we might be able to cover that.
Okay, you're talking about buying, you know, buying a cannonball in remembrance of what kind of price thing you're looking at there?
Yeah, you know, based on some of the things we've done in the past, you know, like $500 for somebody to be memorialized for all of posterity seems like a pretty reasonable price. So if you multiply that by 250,000, by 250, you know, that's like 125,000 coming in. We may be able to ask for more than that. That price isn't, you know, in cement or anything yet, but I mean, I'm thinking at a minimum, $500.
Okay. Craig, is Do we have to do anything extraordinary to approve this in Ferry Park?
My recommendation would be to refer this to the Recreation Commission for review and location possibility.
But I mean, legally, we don't have any covenants in there that would prevent us from doing this?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would really like to get behind this. This excited me as soon as I saw it in my email, and Jim and I were in touch with each other pretty quickly thereafter. The Ferrisburg connection is phenomenal, and we need to capitalize on that and make this town that memorial's home.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service. Do we know how much the memorial would cost when it's all done? So we can figure out if we're going to host it here, how that might impact our insurance.
This is very rough at this moment. I have a meeting on Wednesday with Mr. Thompson, the sculptor. Cunningham and Associates, which they're the ones securing the bids. They have told me that they believe that the sculpture itself would be in the neighborhood of $50,000. So if that's the case, and we bring in 125,000 minimum, we're doing pretty good, because the sculpture is obviously the biggest expenditure of this whole project. So once again, very rough. I'm actually meeting with him for the first time on Wednesday. But I was told in the neighborhood of $50,000 for the sculpture itself. Now, that's not the excavating or anything like that. And there are some expenses involved in the swim. But, it's not going to approach $50,000.
Yeah, we just had some issues with people vandalizing city property. So we want to make sure if we do this, we can cover the cost of repairing it if somebody were to face it. Yes.
And one conversation we've had is the bowling balls. They're cast iron. So I mean, this is it would make a great paperweight. This this sculpture. It's going to be heavy. Cast iron is not easily welded. So I don't want to bore everybody with this, but so they are talking about bolting them in, because cast iron could be jarred loose pretty easily. My understanding is if it's been welded. So they would actually be bolted in. That doesn't mean it's going to stop all vandalism, but it'll help keep people from breaking those cannonballs loose.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'm with Bill. I think we need to back this. We need to support it. We need to help you. I think it's fabulous, especially 250 years would be a great thing to honor all the veterans, I think.
Let me just say briefly, I was up north doing the Edmund Fitzgerald Memorial Swim and traveling around with my crew, and we saw a few cities up there like Sault Ste. Marie that had their light posts adorned with photos of veterans. And I said, man, I wish more municipalities did that down where we live. And lo and behold, maybe I just didn't look very well before, but Ferrisburg does that. And I right away contacted my crew and says, my hometown does this. This is absolutely great. So clearly you support veterans. And how exciting to have, I'll go out on a limb and say this will be the only 250th memorial built out of cannonballs. And that would have such a unique story attached to it.
Do we need to make this a motion to
I think
refer
so.
to the beautification committee?
We should.
Parliamentarian, what would you like to see happen?
Yeah, we would have a motion, please.
Well, then I'll make that motion that we officially refer this to beautification for their study.
Recreation Commission, please.
I'm sorry, Recreation
Yeah,
for their study and adoption.
I support that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. Amber, could you call roll, please?
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cook,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7B, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve a quote from M&A All Seasons Tree Service for $5,400 to remove 5 trees along Pine Street. Craig, could you fill us in on this, please?
Yes, well, we're doing some work on Pine Street for the engineering. We took a look at some of the trees out there. Some of the trees are showing their age, they're dropping limbs. We had arborists come in and look at them. He identified 5 trees that should be removed. So we got a quote, there's 2 quotes in the packet for that. Once those trees are removed, we'll clean up the area and plant some new trees in those spots.
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make
on
a
this.
motion.
Support.
One question, the quote had a couple optional costs, so if we're approving the $5,400, are we not approving the optional cleanup and not approving the optional filling the holes with topsoil?
That is correct. That would be done by the Public Works Department.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, Amber, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Cook.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Good. Moving on to 7C, discussion to take action if appropriate to approve a quote from Giant for $34,320 to paint 264 fire hydrants. Staff?
Yes, this would paint all the fire hydrants in the city. As you recall, earlier this year, we went out for bids to have the fire hydrants painted. We sent it to a number of contractors and we did not get a response. Doing some more research, we found out that there's very limited companies that do this kind of work anymore. Grand Haven Township has used Giant for a number of years to paint their hydrants. They're willing to go to work with us and paint some of their hydrants in the township. We're looking at Spring Lake Township. They might participate in this painting, and City of Grand Haven is not interested at this time. So we're got a pretty good quote compared to what we had probably 7 or 8 years ago when no, it was probably 10 years ago, 2015, when the hydrants were last painted. There's $45,000 included in the budget for this, so this is well underneath the budget for that.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion on this. We can discuss.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. In reading through the proposal, maybe I've overlooked it, but I don't see anything about how long this paint job would be guaranteed or is supposed to last. Do we have any ideas? Like, how long will it be before we have to do this again?
10 or 12 years,
Okay.
that's last time it was
Okay.
done.
Along the same lines of that question, the quote in the paperwork attached to it did not refer to a warranty. Is there a warranty period if the paint fades or the workmanship is found to be faulty?
I would have to look into that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Anyone else have any questions?
It's just a follow-up on that. Grand Haven Township has used this company for many years, and I highly recommend that their work.
Staff feels comfortable.
Yes.
Councilmember Cook, did you see on that page where all the pictures are, there are 5 or 6 different listings about paint types, and the last one says it's not covered by a warranty, so I would assume the others are.
I did see that,
Yeah,
but it
just-
doesn't say they're covered by a warranty.
Yeah, but
It's a good price.
Anyone else have anything? Seeing none, Amber, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Cook.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7D, introduction of ordinance number 244, an ordinance to amend the city code by amending chapter 154 zoning to amend provisions related to residential land uses, review processes, and development requirements for residential land uses, as well as other stated matters, and to amend the official zoning map for the city of Ferrisburg. We have Chair Gary Post here. We'll do public comment first.
Do you
on
want
this.
to go first?
I just want to introduce you, Udina. I'm the chair of your planning commission, and I have the vice chair here. We'd like to just make some brief opening remarks
and then turn it over to you to ask any questions of us. So I'm going to start with my vice chair talking a bit about the housing situation.
Gary. Regina Schober, 17542 Parkwood Drive. Tonight you're introducing the ordinance changes that the Planning Commission has suggested in regard to affordable housing. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background and a little setting for this. After the revised master plan was approved, Council charged the Plessee with the task of reviewing zoning in order to better support the creation of more affordable housing. We do not and will not develop property. So really, zoning ordinances are the only tool that a municipality has to impact affordable housing. It's a really hot topic now. You can see most of the communities around us are addressing this. In fact, I think I saw that Grand Haven has this on their docket, quite increasing, I think, density. So this is pretty much everywhere you see it. The median family income in Ferrisburg is about $75,000. At this level, a family could afford a house costing between $210,000 and $260,000. The median cost of a house in Ferrisburg, however, is between $380,000 and $410,000. And the cost of houses in Ottawa County have increased 5.3% in the last year. The Planning Commission has worked diligently to make the revisions you see before you. Staff did a yeoman's job of organizing and responding to community input, and our advisor, Dave Jaroszik's expertise was invaluable. He did not, as it was claimed, make the changes and present them to us. We made the changes with his advice and the expert leadership of both Roger Jonas and Mr. Post. I ask that you carefully consider what you see before you, and don't allow the not in my backyard folk, the NIMBY folk, and politics to influence you. The state of Michigan legislature is unveiling a bipartisan multi-bill package right now, reform housing package, that would streamline development regulations and update local zoning laws. So changes are going to come one way or the other. And you have the chance now to be in the forefront of doing that in a way that will best suit Ferrisburg. So I hope you consider this very carefully. And here's Mr. Post.
Thank you. That's great. So just briefly, I'm very excited and proud of the work that your Planning Commission has put into this. We've had a lot of long meetings. We've worked very hard on this. We have a unanimous presentation. Our whole board is recommending this proposal to you. And we've had a lot of discussion, a public forum, and we have really tried to make this a unique Ferrisburg plan, not a cookie cutter plan, something that is the right size for our community. And just from the first paragraph of Mr. Jaroszik's housing memo, zoning reform refers to updates to local zoning regulations that make it easier to build a wider range of housing types. Traditional zoning often limits development to single-family homes, large lots, and strict standards that can restrict housing supply. Our reform efforts are aimed to allow duplexes, townhomes, and accessory dwelling units, and to reduce minimum lot sizes and parking requirements, and generally to streamline the approval process to allow more by right development. The goal is to increase housing supply, improve affordability, and provide more housing choices while maintaining, and again, I want to emphasize, while maintaining our Ferrisburg, our unique Ferrisburg, compatibility with existing neighborhoods and community character. So again, we've put a lot of time into this. I'm hoping that we'll be able to answer questions that you might have tonight, and looking forward to a second hearing in 2 weeks.
I would entertain a motion on this. It's in public comments, so we have to be able to discuss this. Oh, that's right, it's an introduction. Never mind, introduction.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
My first question is, where can residents find a complete and full text that incorporates the revisions from the April 2nd meeting.
Craig?
We have most of it on our website.
Is it on the Planning Commission page? I looked before the meeting. I had a hard time finding it.
I haven't researched, but my understanding is staff put it on the planning commission page. We'll double check that.
Dave, what was it specifically you were looking for?
So the proposed text has been revised multiple times, and the Planning Commission had posted links to each revision, but there were revisions made at the April 2nd meeting, and I can't determine whether that document is in whole, either in our packet, in the public packet that's publicly available, or somewhere on the Planning Commission website.
Okay, we'll research that.
Yes, I think we can certainly double check to make sure that the changes that were made at the last meeting in response to the public forum are fully integrated into the proposal that's being presented to you.
Are we doing another public hearing as part of the city council procedure? I thought someone just mentioned that.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I would like Mr. Drosik to be here prior to us moving forward with this, because this is, you guys come up with the dramatic changes in a lot of areas, and I would like to ask him his rationale.
He has been a big assistance to us, and I understand, Councilman, that he's generally not available on Monday night. But Craig, maybe there's some way that in times when he is available, that council could ask questions of him. Or do you have any suggestion on how that might work?
I can review the schedule with him.
Your Honor?
Yes.
If council is agreeable, maybe we could set up a special meeting on a different evening. There's a lot of questions I have for Mr. Drosik.
Going back to Councilmember Cook's question about a public hearing, typically on an ordinance, there's an introduction and first reading. At the next following meeting, there'll be a agenda item for city council to adopt or not adopt that.
The public hearing was already held at the Planning Commission.
Correct.
Are there any questions that we think Gary can answer or give him a shot to answer?
Possibly. One question, I got a lot of technical questions. On these ADAs, let me run a scenario by you. And this is a technical question that Mr. Drosik, should probably have to answer. I have a house, 55% lot coverage. I meet all the other criteria as far as setbacks and such what. I applied for a zoning variance to put a 400 and some foot addition on my house. Obviously, they have to turn it down because we're in non-compliance. Correct? You see, these are questions I'm not sure you technically are.
Yes, that's the kind of question that I might, just like with anybody else proposing to build something on their house, ask staff and, if necessary, Mr. Drosik to weigh in.
Okay, so now I'm at 55% lot coverage, which is already in violation of the zoning ordinance at 40% is what he's proposing. So now I decide that I'm going to make this a ADA or ADU, whatever you guys call it.
ADU.
ADU. Okay, so now I apply for an ADU permit, and you have to approve it because it is not contingent on lot coverage. He specifically wrote it that is immaterial lot coverage if you're putting an ADU on. So now my question to him is, why? We're already in non-compliance. Now you're going to increase the noncompliance, which is gonna create more water issues and more flooding issues in the city. These are technical questions that he needs to answer.
Is that something you can help with, Craig?
That was one of the items that the planning commission discussed, that they prefer not to have the ADU count against lot coverage.
Right, my question is why?
They want-
90% of Ferrisburg has a water issue, and now we're compounding it?
When the planning commission discussed this, the thought was they would allow ADUs just to try to increase affordability of housing in the city.
I understand that. My question is, why are we allowing it to extend lot coverage past what is, you could have a house at 70%, an existing house at 70%, and put an ADU on there and increase it to, at what, close to 90% lot coverage, because it was non-conforming in the first place, but we can't stop them from doing it because of the way the ordinance is written. The other question I got is, the ADU says that you can add it on to your house as a second residence. And then it specifically states you can't rent it as a short-term rental.
That's right.
Okay, so now, I had a landlord ask me this today. I buy the house, I apply for the ADU, even though I may not be in compliance with the zoning ordinance and lot coverage. I put this on, I sell the house to a corporation, or I change the name on it to my wife's name. Now I can apply for a short-term rental permit for the entire thing and put on as a separate living space for, I don't know how they would word it, but you know what I'm saying? That you would have a separate living space for your elderly parents if you're traveling here as a short-term rental. So there's a lot of technical questions here that you could change the whole. If this guy, he has a lot of short-term rentals, if he's thought of this, I'm sure there's others. So we may be changing the entire picture of the housing in Ferrisburg to more short-term rentals, because they charge ungodly amounts, and they pay for that mortgage in what, 2-3 weeks a year?
If I could just address the ADUs for just a moment, and the Planning Commission's decision to restrict ADUs to longer-term rentals, not short-term rentals. Some people at the hearings have spoken in favor that ADUs would be good for short-term rentals. Our mission, our concern with the housing reform package is not to create short-term rental opportunities, but rather to create affordable housing and longer-term housing. So the way that this might work is it might be a family member who's moving in, it might be a caregiver who's moving in, or it might be a rental which is providing income to those homeowners. But it's our desire that people be renting longer term and not week by week, because that's not really the goal of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create places for people to live full-time so they can live and work in the area. So the feeling was to limit it to longer-term rentals and not short-term rentals. So Craig, I don't know if you can add anything to Mr. DeWitt's comment about could it initially be approved and then could somehow the ownership be changed in a way to circumvent the intention?
So if it was going to be a rental unit, the principal dwelling had to be owner occupied, and then they could contract out to have the ADU as a rental unit. If the owner did not occupy that property, the principal dwelling, a management company would have to manage the rental of the house and of the ADU. And there'd be no short-term rentals.
for specifically for the ADU. But he could apply for a short-term rental for the entire property. And how could you turn that down?
You could apply for a short-term rental, which is anything over a time period of 7 to 27 days for the principal dwelling. The ADU has to be a long-term rental, and if they're both, the principal dwelling and ADU is rental property, it has to be overseen by a management company.
So you're telling me they're not gonna, there's no way they could possibly do that? Is that what you're saying?
For the zoning ordinance, correct.
If it changes hands, if I buy it from Mr. Post, now you have entirely, and I can apply for a short-term rental for the main residence.
It's all viewed as one package, so the ADU and the principal residence, they have to be packaged together. I can't live in the ADU and rent out my house if I have it. I can't live in the main house and rent out my ADU. If I want a long-term rental of property, I've got to do it, the ADU and the principal residence under the same application. Same for short-term rental. So you couldn't split it and say, hey, I'm running the ADU short-term, I'm running the principal residence long-term or living in it, and split like that. There's language, I forget where it is, but it says explicitly it has to be the entire property.
Is it, how come we don't have the specific language?
I thought I saw it in there today. I was reviewing it. I'll find it and get it out to you.
All right, well, make sure it's in our next packet.
Yep.
Okay. Got some other issues. In the core commercial, let me ask you, your proposal is to rezone Pine Street to core commercial, correct? From Pine Street Cafe to the curve, am I correct in that?
Right now, that area is already core commercial. The rezoning would be for the residents on Ridge Avenue from the gas station almost all the way up to the bridge. Those 9 or 10, 11 houses in that area would be rezoned or currently core commercial. They would be rezoned to the RG3, which used to be the RG2.
Okay, so my question to you is, I apply to put an addition on my house, I meet all the zoning criteria, setbacks, such what. Now that when I'm in non-compliance, is that gonna be allowed? Because I'm in non-compliance of the basic, they're RG1 now, correct?
Right now it's core commercial. So any house in that core commercial zone district can rebuild subject to the RG2 zone districts setbacks.
Okay, what about the service district? There's several houses in that service district. They apply for a modification, addition, whatever, or a garage, they meet criteria, but now they're in non-compliance of the base zoning district.
There's one residence that's in the core commercial zone district that would be rezoned to the service district. The properties to the south of those would also be rezoned to the service district.
And they would not be allowed to do any modifications or additions or a garage or anything of that nature?
The service district.
Because they would be in non-compliance of the base base underlying district, correct?
So the one house would not be, it would be a non-conforming use in that zone district.
So basically, we're telling them they can't do anything to this property.
Non-conforming use, if it's damaged, can be rebuilt certain set requirements of the zoning ordinance.
But if they want to put a garage up or addition on or something, they would have to be denied because it's non-conforming. Correct?
That is correct, that one house.
All right, moving on. I don't know how detailed we need to get into this tonight. I have technical questions for Mr. Grosick, and I think we need him here. I mean, I got 55 or 60
Well, we certainly have
questions.
received enough emails questioning and looking for more details. That would be best served, we'd all be best served by having Mr. Jurosik here.
I can review his schedule with him, sure.
Okay, does he have another municipality or whatever on Mondays that's not available?
I'm not sure what his schedule is, but he indicated that Mondays are hard for him to get here.
Your Honor, I'm all for calling a special meeting on this matter. I
We
think
have to.
I think this is a matter that needs scrutiny and a lot of detail, and I think Mr. Jurosik would really help us in that, achieving that.
I think we're all in agreement with that we need like to see Mr. Jurosik here.
Your Honor. But if you can't be here on a Monday, and I would like to have just a meeting specifically for this matter. I mean, this is a lot, and I've got tons of questions. Mike's got tons of questions, several questions, and I just think it deserves its own.
Your Honor, not that we can't have a bunch of questions here, but can we get some questions to Mr. Jurosik and direct staff to set up an FAQ with those questions on the Planning Commission website so that other residents that may have these same questions are able to see what the answers are?
Sure.
Is that doable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I say a few more things? Someone should have said this early on, but thank you so much to our volunteers. Thank you for the public who provided a lot of input on this. I have attended or watched every single Planning Commission meeting where this has been discussed, and my general thought after watching the meetings was that was painful. This is like writing a thesis for a graduate program. You guys have done so much work. I am excited. By and large, the feedback I've gotten is this is positive. It's good to see that a small community like ours can be at the forefront of trying to address affordable housing. The specifics are, I think, best left to the experts. There are probably about 4 high-level things that either didn't get addressed or maybe still need some additional work. I'm going to read them. I think they're high level enough for tonight that the Planning Commission can weigh in on them, but they're proposals that we got, I think it was today or yesterday, specifically about, I think, 4 additional changes and 1 clarification. The first one is, what would you say, Gary, to deleting the townhomes as an allowable use in the core commercial downtown area? Is that something that's set in stone? What are your thoughts about that?
Thank you, Councilman Cook. With respect, the Planning Commission and myself personally feel that we've had the opportunity to see some really beautiful design ideas for townhome proposals that could fit very comfortably in our potential downtown area. So I see no reason to take townhomes out, and we think that in addition to the other topic, that the other kind of multifamily housing that is more commonly brought up is retail on the ground level and rentals or condos or rentals on the upper levels. But in addition to that, any downtown area needs a certain core of people, and the townhomes give an opportunity to get a relatively high number of people into a small area in an attractive Ferrisburg vision. So we think it should stay in.
Thank you. There's two other questions around that same general topic. I'm going to skip over them. The last one is related to the Inland Overlay District, which we're now calling R4. There was a Zoning Board of Appeals appeal filed to clarify language that's in the existing ordinance. To my knowledge, that's on the May 14th ZBA agenda. But briefly, the new ordinance, the language in it explicitly states that homes that are going to be in the new R4 district that are non-conforming, if they are rebuilt to a substantial amount, they need to be brought into conformance. It doesn't appear that that strong of language exists in the existing ordinance. Is this something the Planning Commission discussed, or possibly something that was overlooked? Do you have any comments about that in particular?
So, Craig, feel free to add or correct anything here, but the decision to approach the Inland Overlay District with a revision first went in a different direction, and that was to create two separate districts. And again, working with Mr. Jarosik, he felt there was enough difference between the east side and the west side to create two different districts. However, when we had a public forum and we had some give and take with members of the audience, the commission felt maybe it would be a more popular solution to just make the move from the Inland Overlay to a single R4 for the entire district. And Mr. Jarosik was with us for that discussion, and he concurred with that decision. So I would just say that I don't feel there's anyone, there's no government taking of property. There's simply what is the best way to classify an existing Inland Overlay District, and the Planning Commission felt the R4 was the best fit. And again, Mr. Mayor was there and heard the conversation. We were trying to create something that seemed to be the most conducive to people who are familiar with that particular neighborhood. And again, it's not trying to prevent anyone from continuing to live and enjoy their homes in that district.
Let me reframe the question. So where did the specific language come in the new ordinance that prohibits rebuilding an out of conformance property? Is that something you guys discussed? Did it just show up? I'm in the unfortunate position of having to vote on this zoning ordinance when it comes up again, as well as vote on a ZBA appeal about this very thing. So I'm just trying to gather some information about where did that exact language come from. I don't have it in front of me tonight, but I did read it, and it is very explicit about not allowing people to rebuild the same footprint.
Not rebuilding the same footprint if it doesn't meet the setbacks. When the R4 zone district was designed, some of the setbacks and lot coverage and lot width and so forth were reduced. For example, right now you're required to have a 10,000 square foot lot in there. They're dropping it down to 6,000 square feet with a lot width of 60 feet instead of the 100. And the minimum front setback is going to be 15 instead of the required 25. The side yards are going to be 5 feet on one side, 15 total. Actually, that's a foot greater than what it is now. The rear yard setback is going to be 30 feet instead of the required 40, and lot coverage is 40% instead of the required 35% now. So with those reductions, there was some discussion that anything new ought to meet those new requirements that had been reduced in the new district.
So just to clarify what I'm hearing, because we've made it less restrictive to build in that area, the language explicitly prohibiting a rebuild of something out of conformance was added to kind of balance that out?
That was one of the considerations, yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
you serve on the planning commission.
Yes.
I would like you to bring up that any damage or house they could, in Ferrisburg, in all zoning districts, regardless of setback, could be rebuilt on the existing footprint. The way I got a printout here in the Inland Overlay District as you're proposing, there's only 17 houses could be built in that entire district. That's
I'm not sure that's information is correct, Mike.
You want to see the printout?
I've seen it.
Okay. Regardless, I don't feel that it's in the city's best interest that if your house gets hit by a tree and and demolished, what are we gonna do with the lot if it's non-conforming? If you're not allowed to build it on the existing footprint, what are we gonna have, a bunch of vacant lots? To do what with?
The homes can still be rebuilt.
If they can meet the new requirements.
The feeling was that this was a move in the direction of making it easier for people to build. And the question you're bringing up is someone losing the right to rebuild after an accident the exact same footprint? So you can have a generous allowance to rebuild a home. It just may not be the exact same footprint.
Is that correct, Craig?
That's correct.
So if there's no way you can make your house conforming on the lot, 'cause we got 60-foot lots over there, correct? 40-foot lots in some cases.
Yes.
There's no way in hell they're gonna be able to meet the setbacks. And now you're taking the people's property for what? I think we need a plain, clear-cut ordinance that says you can rebuild on any existing footprint in the event of catastrophic or whatever, even if you want to tear it down. There's one guy over there's got black mold in his house. Well, he wants to tear it down to the crawl space and rebuild it. Under your current proposal, he can't meet the setbacks. So now what do I tell him? You can't have your house? Black mold is dangerous to the point where he has to do something, but he has to remove it. So explain to me why we're making an ordinance that won't allow him to replace his house as existing.
So currently, the zoning ordinance says that if you take anything down, anything new has to comply with the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, there was a blip in there years ago that said you could rebuild on the existing footprint.
If the house is damaged more than 50%, the house can be rebuilt on the existing footprint as long as the setbacks are not increased.
Right, as long as they're not increased.
Right.
And you leave one wall up.
That's if it's damaged.
Right. So in the case of a tree falling on a guy's house and all 4 walls are down, he can't do nothing, correct?
You can rebuild as long as you met the setbacks, correct?
Yeah, as long as he met the new setbacks.
Correct.
Right. We need to do something about that in the ordinance.
Path forward would be for you to get with David.
Yes.
Get something worked out, whether
Yes.
he can make it to our next meeting.
Yep.
Or if we got to call a special meeting.
Well, yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Because we certainly have a lot more details to go over. This is all part of the process. I don't want people to feel that this is getting ramrodded through.
Yep.
Planning Commission we've worked on it for what, a year?
Or better.
9 months, 9 months or a year. And we've had our public hearings and there were still questions then and there's still questions now, so it's fair.
Certainly fair, and Mr. Jarozik is a big assistance to the Planning Commission, and we have no problem with, it would have been nice if his schedule had allowed us to have him here tonight, and I'm excited that the council is interested in taking some of their time to work with him to have a hearing when you can have him directly answer the questions that Craig and I are doing the best to.
Oh, we all definitely want to get it right.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Could I ask another question?
Yes, go ahead.
Watching the public comment, there were a lot of people who felt very strongly about their property being rezoned from residential to commercial. I believe there was a statement by our assessor who stated something to the effect of their assessment may change. Do we know for the people who are currently in that residential zone who are going to commercial, there's a handful of parcels, what the potential impact will be on their assessed value?
So they're commercial now going to residential.
Okay, I had it the other way around. So will it be cheaper for them potentially? Will it change substantially? I feel like we should provide some sort of response, a general one if we can, for those people who might be concerned about that.
Sure, we did have some discussions with the assessor. She indicated that it really should have no change in the value. The value is based on what is there. The zoning really doesn't matter because it's a permitted use in that zone district, having a residential house. And then, you know, it might even go down if sales show the sales go down in the future or something, but there really should be no impact on the property values.
Public comment, Nicole, got something?
Thank you, Mayor Carlson. Nicole Larabelle, 16814 Virginia. This is related to the ZBA appeal that Mr. Cook will be voting on with the rest of the ZBA. This is the last page of our current Inland Lake Overlay District. This talks about reconstruction on the same footprint. This is on the current zoning ordinance on the zoning page, page 189 to 191. Reconstruction, notwithstanding the applicable requirements of Article 10, non-conforming uses and structures because of the historic cottage nature of dwellings in the Inland Lake Overlay District and the unique nature of the neighborhood, a non-conforming dwelling on an existing lot of record, which exists on or after the date of this adoption, may be replaced by a new structure on the same building footprint with the same setbacks as the original dwelling, provided that a building permit must be obtained and construction on the new dwelling within 1 year of the demolition of the original. Along any portion of the side of the dwelling, the side lot line does not meet the setback requirement of the underlying district. There shall be no increase in height above the original structure. The new residence does not increase the nonconformity or result in any new nonconformity. Notwithstanding the original location of the dwelling footprint, if the original dwelling was located 7 feet from the side, no portion of the new structure may be less than 7 feet from the side lot line. That talks about how the original can be rebuilt 7 foot or less than 7 foot. And then if you add new additional square footage to it that was not the original, that must meet 7 feet back from the lot line. This ordinance is poorly worded and being interpreted by our zoning administrator to mean the only portion of the footprint that can be rebuilt is the rear. And Craig and Mr. Jurosik have acknowledged in my emails that if I were to rebuild my house on the same footprint, I could rebuild the rear portion on the same footprint because this ordinance allows me to. And the part that is being misinterpreted here is that Craig is saying the sides and the front cannot be rebuilt. Now, why would we have half a page long of an ordinance here talking about reconstruction when the original intent, as Craig said, would be to only let people rebuild on the rear portion of a footprint? So this is going to be a ZBA. I believe the hearing date is May 14. I would encourage anybody in the Inland Lake Overlay who wants to protect their property value to attend, because your lot is not worth what you think it is if your new home can only be the minimum size of a new dwelling when you rebuild.
I'd like to say something about that.
Thank you.
considering that we're changing the zoning ordinance, I would prefer if we can hammer out some language that would better protect the property rights, cancel the ZBA appeal, and give Ms. Larrabell her money back. I don't want to vote on the ZBA appeal because I feel like we're making a bunch of changes now. We can make this right by the residents.
I would love to see it be made right for the residents. I would love that. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
The purpose of the inland overlay was to allow reconstruction, allow smaller lots that were already plotted. I mean, you can't plot a smaller lot today, even under the inland overlay. But because there's 40-foot lots, 60-foot lots, 80, all kinds of weird sizes. The intent was way back when, I think it was in 90, what, 5, 6, that was passed.
09.
Excuse me?
09.
09?
09.
Thought it was older than that. The intent was to allow rebuilding, reconstruction, and tearing down a dilapidated building and replacing it on the existing footprint. That was the intent. Now, why we're going to throw that whole intent out, I don't see any advantage to the new ordinance at all, as opposed to the inland overlay special use district. These are questions that I want Mr. Drosik to answer in person.
And
This email crap, you know, when he's here in person, I'm looking eye to eye. It's different than pushing a
well,
button.
we have a plan to address this with Mr. Jurosik. Anyone else have anything else?
Thank you, Council.
Yeah.
One more comment. I think the changes by and large are good. I don't want this to detract from them, which is why I'm advocating that we address this one issue, maybe a handful of others, but I think by and large, 80% of this is great. I'd love to see a downtown in Ferrisburg. Another thing I wanted to say is we have this consultant from MSU who's going to come and give us their impression of Ferrisburg. I've been asking residents who do not live here what their impression of Ferrisburg is. Their first question is, where is it? So it would be great if we can get some development. I think this is a very walkable community. It could be made a lot better. I'm really excited for what we could have.
Agreed.
Moving on.
Moving on to 7E, approve the mayor's appointment, that is correct. Approve the mayor's appointment of Stephen Trier as a regular member of the Kitchell-Lindquist Parkwood Dunes Preserve Board for a term ending July 1st, 2028.
Your Honor,
Yes.
make a motion that we approve Stephen Tyler's appointment to the Kitchell-Lindquist Parkwood Dunes Preserve Board.
Your Honor? I'll second that. I got a question. We don't have an opening on this board, do we?
Yes, there's one opening.
Okay.
One
I
vacancy.
thought that was one of the few boards that were full.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's where I was confused, because we don't get updated regularly on the board participation.
Anyone else have anything?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
He is eminently qualified. I mean, just looking over his resume is incredible. We don't have a problem with him not being a resident?
Most of the board members are not residents
Okay,
of
I
Ferrisburg.
wanted to check.
Yep.
Thanks.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Is it normal we get redacted applications in our packet?
Staff.
We've been starting to do that. We're getting some concerns with emails and phone numbers and addresses going out in the public.
Okay. Yeah, I just, we asked for their email and phone number. I just assumed that was so we could contact them if we had questions.
We did interviews. There were 4 candidates, so we've spoken to all 4 of the candidates. They're real people. We've seen them on a screen. Their emails do work. But I saw that too, and I thought, I guess the emails are private.
Your Honor, so board members, their email and phone number will be on the SETI website. If board members,
We don't put email addresses,
but phone numbers.
our phone numbers for the board and commission, just city council members, email.
Just us.
Oh, we're the only ones that get the
Yeah.
brief? Oh. Handsomely, too.
Anyone else have any comments regarding this appointment? Hearing none, Amber, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Cook.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to 7F work session, proposed 2026-27 city budget. Staff.
This chart here shows the taxable value on the left-hand column, the bottom row, 2026, $290 million. That's an increase of 5.4% over last year. Next column over, the SCV increased to $441 million, 3.89% increase over 2025. This year's the 2026 on the bottom row. It shows that the millage reduction fraction shown in yellow is 9.9851. Right above that, it was 9.938 the year before. Looking at the second row of the column, the city levied 7.3906 on the millage last year. With the millage reduction fraction, the maximum the city can levy this year is 7.2805. With the city levy, we're rounding was 2805 on the previous page, but you got to reduce it down. Motorized equipment, street path, bike path, those are all subject to the millage reduction fraction. So the total millage proposed for this year is 9.3537. Last year was 9.4943, so there's a slight reduction in the millage being levied this year. Community promotion, this is what we're proposing for 26-27. Basically, it's the same thing as previous years, right around $56,000 in community events planned for this year. The first box up on the left top for a general fund, the computers in City Hall are starting to show its age. We want to replace those. Software, BSNA, what we call the BSNA Net. They're talking about changing that over to a cloud system where we might have to do something with our software. So maybe some upgrades in the office. There was some money in the current budget for doing a new dais for the city council. We've got a couple quotes. We're waiting to hear back from those people. And so it looks like it's going to be rolled over till next year. And so we got $102,000 proposed from the general fund for improvements. Column down, table down is the fire department. They got some miscellaneous equipment in their budget for $31,000. The drain budget is $60,000, the same thing as what it is this year. The PPC drain is the Park Place Circle drain. There was some concern years back when there was flooding. They petitioned the drain commissioner to do something with that, and my understanding that is still moving forward with that. Over on the right-hand side for parks, we got some miscellaneous equipment, tables, trash containers, new soccer goals at Coast Guard Park, doing some paint at the Coast Guard buoy, the NOR contribution, painting some poles at the Coast Guard Park, doing something with the shelter roof over there, lawn service, 5-bar, about $130,000 in maintenance and usual items for the parks. And then we're going to include the spring cleanup for 17.5 and leaves and compost. Bike path millage, we anticipate getting $53,000 in 2026. That money was spent for some snow removal, maintenance, crack sealing. Anything left over, we'll put it in the fund balance and build up a reserve in case we need to do replace some sections of bike path in the future. There we go. Sewer fund, pretty much debt. The first three rows is all debt. One item that they're looking for is the 1,000 gallon per minute pump. The current pumps are vintage. We want to replace one of them and keep the other one for a spare. Lift station number one was $145,000. That's the lift station at William Ferry Park, which is a joint project with Spring Lake Township. Total cost will probably be twice that, but Ferrysburg is responsible for 50%. That lift station work design work is still ongoing. That number probably moved over to 26, 27 budget. Water fund, nothing major in there, typical items, debt. The highlighted item, the 5-year reliability study that's required by the state every 5 years. Everybody that's in part of NOWS has done a reliability study together. This will be the second or third time that the 5 communities have got together into this reliability study. And so for that cost, Ferrysburg's portion would be about $15,000. From construction, we got Pine Street pushing $776,000, and then engineering, Bayberry West Spring Lake Road construction. Those bids are coming due next week. And 174th Avenue is in MPO tip for fiscal year 27. So we're going to start doing some engineering work for that. We want to get it ready so that when we find out when the bridge schedule is, we can either pull the string and get it going or hold back on it. Act 51 money, it's hard to read on the far right-hand column, is a little over $500,000. That's a 2.2% increase over the current year. When the state passed their budget in October of last year, there was some marijuana tax that was going to go to roads, neighborhood road fund revenue. We're not sure exactly how much that's going to go, or the city's going to receive on that. So at this time, we did not budget anything for it. Major streets, we got highlighted for Smiths Bridge at $2 million for engineering and $12 million for construction. As per the auditors, that project is going to be a city project, so it needs to go on the city books. So that's why it's on our budget. West Spring Lake Road is a major street as part of the Bayberry project for $200,000, and then when 174th Avenue comes, that's $1 million project for repair. Middle column there for the A81 is just typical items that are done every year for in major streets. Same thing on the bottom right for local streets. The highlighted item for $83,000 in Suffolk Storm. Last year there were some sinkholes forming on Suffolk Drive. Public Works did some patchwork and some repairs. We're looking into it to see how much more work needs to be done on that. If anything needs to be done, it's going to be about $83,000. Going up to the top right-hand column, local streets for construction, we got that Bayberry project, and then we're looking at doing Cherokee next year. Brownfield redevelopment, we expect to get about $15,000 in capture for tax revenue. All that money comes in and goes out for reimbursement to the developer. At the last Brownfield board meeting, the board made a recommendation to City Council to take that 5% administrative fee and instead of putting it in the general fund to create a local brownfield revolving fund. So that will be on a future City Council agenda to consider that recommendation. Public Improvement Fund, we're going to pay for 174th, West Spring Lake Road, Pine Street. Over on the right-hand side, we want to earmark $150,000 for Phase 2 improvements at Fire Barn Park. So we'll either try to add to that over the years or use that as leverage for a match grant in the future. Building fund, nothing new there. Building permits, what goes out is salaries and inspector fees and administration cost, training, so forth. So nothing out of the ordinary there. It's just basically the same thing as last year. Sewer, here it shows that what was invoiced to the city from Ottawa County for sewer. The third column, MG, the look at the bottom, The city was invoiced for $66 million worth of sewer. Going to the far right bottom column, it shows that what the city's paid Ottawa County $241,000 for sewer-related items. Some of that was for the treatment, pump station, and debt. For the sewer fund, the $250,000 is lift station number 1. That's the joint project with Spring Lake Township. Some other miscellaneous items. That picture on the right is the pump station at William Ferry Park. That's 3 levels down, 3 pumps. A lot of sanitary sewer goes through there. We want to make sure those are running all the time. Water, the gallons, Ottawa County invoiced on the bottom row for $136 million, or 136 million gallons of water. As a reminder, the previous slide shows $66 million, or 66 million gallons was invoiced for sewer. So for twice that for water, looking at the bottom right-hand corner, it was $167,000 that was paid to Ottawa County for water-related items. In the water fund, on the left-hand table there is just some miscellaneous items that we want to look at in the next fiscal year. And bottom right table, we're showing that we're requesting a 7% increase in the water rate ready to serve charge. That's $1.40 a quarter. Water rate would increase 9%, or 0.7 cents per cubic meter. To work with our customers and trying to keep our monthly sewer bill down, we want to propose that the sewer ready to serve charge be decreased by 3%, or $2.03, and the sewer rate remain unchanged. So looking at that, for 4 quarters, it'd be $35.64, an increase over a year, $3 a month, 2.61%.
Why do we want to keep our sewer rates the same, raise the water rates when we're pumping more water out than in?
Our sewer fund is really healthy now, so it can take the decrease to help offset the increase in the water department at this time.
Well, my point being is, we have hundreds of illegal sump pumps hooked up, pumping basements, it's illegal. We know it's illegal. We've never done nothing about it. We're not going to, because we'll flood everybody's basement. So why are we why is the water subsidizing the sewer rates?
It's not subsidizing. This is something that's been going on for the city for a number of years, where we've had infiltration going into the sanitary sewer. Again, the sanitary sewer, or the sewer fund is really healthy. Our decreasing the rate's not going to affect the city at all in the future. We still expect that, and the sewer fund to grow a little bit, but not as much as it has been. And we want to increase the revenue and reserves in the water fund.
Okay, I just want to put that on record that, we keep raising the water rates and not the sewer rates, and the sewer is more of an issue than the water rates.
So about 15, 20 years ago, we started replacing some of the meters in the city, and these meters are getting to be 15, 20 years old, and we're starting to need to be replaced. So ideally, the goal would be to come in and have all the meters replaced in the city at one time, so everybody has a new meter, and we wouldn't be changing meters every year. To have someone come in and change all the meters out in the city is going to be close to $1 million. So the city can't afford that. So what we do is we replace these radio read meters with the cellular meters. Gives the customer the opportunity to read the meters from home. We can read the meters from the office when there's a final read or something to be done. So we're going to start replacing some of these radio readers with the cellular. We've been working on that for a period of time. We want to crank it up a little bit and start replacing more of these radio reads with the cellular. Just main reason is these radio reads meters are getting old. So we're going to increase the reserves in the water fund to be able to do that project.
I have another question, if I may interject, about lift station 1. That lift station, correct me if I'm wrong, is at the intersection of 168th and West Spring Lake Road.
That's lift station 2. Lift station 1 is at William Ferry Park.
Are we planning to do any upgrades or repairs at lift station 2?
So I'm not sure how that worked out, but when the sanitary sewer system was put in, it was agreed on between Spring Lake Township and Ferrisburg that Spring Lake Township would maintain lift station 2 and Ferrisburg would maintain lift station 1. So the repairs that need to be done at lift station 2 are going through Spring Lake Township.
Are we paying Spring Lake Township for any services related to that? And the reason for the question is that lift station's been hit at least once, maybe twice, by people who have court cases. And so I'm wondering, can we get any money out of the damage in order to improve or replace some of our sewer equipment?
All the repairs should be paid for through their insurance companies. For the Public Works Fund, they want to get a door opener for the salt barn, a stand-on leaf blower. That leaf blower can be used during leaf pickup. It can be used in the parks to blow the leaves. They want to get a spare salt spreader and a new mower trailer, so some miscellaneous in the Public Works Fund. There was some discussion about putting some cameras at William Ferry Park. We did get a quote to do that. For that work at William Ferry Park to put three cameras in was $7,700. Coast Guard Park to put some cameras in was close to $10,000. So at this time, the city did not budget that for this year, but we'll keep it on our radar for future years.
Craig, we've spent more on repairs at Coast Guard Park over the last couple of years from vandalism. We've spent more than 10 grand just on fixing stuff. Why are we postponing cameras?
We haven't spent that much at Coast Guard Park. Might have spent some on the damage at William Ferry Park. We had the tree fall and spent some money on that damage, but
Yeah, we had some lighter bathroom on Coast Guard.
yeah, the guys, the Public Works Department did most repairs out there. It wasn't as expensive as we first thought, but it was a cost of the city, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean,
If council's interested in putting that in, we'll try to put that in the budget.
with Coast Guard Park being not visible from the road and not visible on, to the everyday driver, specifically law enforcement, I think it's important that we put cameras there at some point very soon. The amount of, vandalism we've had, we continue to invest money there with, new pickleball courts and new tennis courts and everything else. I think we need to put something there.
Can we buy something cheaper? So commercially available cameras, I have one. They have a cell phone chip in them. It costs, the camera itself is a couple $100, and the plan to look at it and record is like $10 a month. So I'm wondering how that would compare to a $10,000 system.
Oh, I got the breakdown in the office. We were working with Ottawa County IT on the quote, so I'll be glad to talk to you about it. That's all I have at this time.
Anyone have any questions?
I have two. How much is the new dais going to cost, and how are we going to match the 1970s orange of the rest of the room? And the reason I personally think this dais is fine. If it's going to be a lot of money, I'd rather spend the money on a camera at Coast Guard Park.
We budgeted $30,000 for the new dais.
I do not want a new dais. I think this one's fine.
I think that's ridiculous, to be honest with you.
I cannot sit at a $30,000 desk knowing that our roads and other things are falling apart. So
agreed.
I would prefer that be removed. My second question is the digester that's being worked on collaboratively with the city of Grand Haven. How will that impact the city's sewer budget? Will that be a positive impact, a negative impact? One more thing I'm just going to say on the record is I'm not 100% comfortable with burning sewage. We already have a PFAS problem in the area, and I think burning sewage to power a digester is only going to compound the problem.
So the sewer authority right now is doing a pilot project and a review on this. You know, it's expected to take 2 or 3 years to even get any kind of feedback on if it's feasible or not feasible. There would be probably a regional digester. They're doing other projects with Ottawa County for the whole county in this area, Holland, that area, on a different item, the ways that we can treat the sewage and get it out of the treatment plant, because it's getting harder and harder to land apply the sludge on farmlands. So it's going to be a day where that's not going to happen. We're looking at different alternatives to move that forward.
Anyone else have any questions? Hearing none, let's move on. It is 8:45. G and H. Parliamentarian, is there something we have to address tonight?
It's not required, and at least I just don't take too long, no.
Pine
So,
Street shouldn't take too long. Okay. Okay, moving on to 7G, work session on Pine Street parking.
That was requested to be on the work session at the last meeting.
I'll say something about it. So Ferrisburg is a drive-through community. People from Spring Lake drive through it just to get onto M104 and US 31. People who live in Spring Lake Township drive through Ferrisburg just to get to their homes, and they drive fast. They do not look for pedestrians. They do not look for potholes. They do not look for ducks or other animals that might be in the way. They just drive. I think that if we're going to incentivize development of downtown Ferrisburg and have a place that people can recognize as this is where our city is, they need somewhere to park. Another thing I will add is we have an ordinance that says you can't park on the road anywhere. If I want to party at my house or anything, I need to reach out to my neighbors and say, hey, by the way, people are going to park illegally out in front of my house. Please don't get mad. Some people say, well, you know, I have an $80,000 car. I don't want it towed. Where should I park? Try to park down at the parking for the anglers is the first option. But wouldn't it be great if we had parking on Pine Street? People could walk to where they were going. There's a restaurant. There's a marina. I know that's been talked about. The other thing is if you've ever tried to walk or ride a bike, especially with young children, and go on West Spring Lake Road down to the interior of Ferrisburg, if you want to cross the street, you take your life in your hands, literally. People do not stop. They're not looking. I think that if we had the parking, not only would it improve the visibility of our town, as this is where Ferrisburg is, but it would also make people slow down and recognize pedestrians that need to gain access to Lepinks. They need to gain access to the bike path that goes into Grand Haven. I know that the council, before I was on it, voted this down, but I think now is the time to take a stand and say, if we're going to radically change our ordinance to incentivize Ferrisburg and develop it and have more housing, if our lots are already pretty full, where are people going to park? I think this is a great idea that'll kill more than 2 birds with 1 stone. I think that now is the time to do it because we're going to reconstruct the road. That's all I have to say.
If I may, please. Planning Commission has spent a lot of time bouncing all these ideas with the rezoning off of the master plan. And one of the things besides housing that came up in the master plan was the fact that they were looking for more walkability. And so I felt it was a great opportunity to take Pine Street with its low traffic counts. It doesn't need 4 lanes it'd be a great opportunity for us to, since we're reconstructing Pine Street presently, great time to take and make it 2 lanes. So council turned that down, but we can restripe it to 2 lanes instead of 4, correct, Craig?
That's correct.
But that's not gonna give us the crosswalk bump outs that'll tend to slow traffic down. But cars parked there diagonally would still give the impression of, to hopefully slow traffic down. But certainly, we've got a great opportunity when people are coming in from Spring Lake and they're facing down Pine Street. It'd be great to have that be 2 lanes and then visualize what that might be 10 or 20 years down the road, rather than just 4 lanes of traffic.
Your Honor,
Yes,
deal with it 10 or 20 years down the road.
I hear you.
I mean, to Mike's point, like, we talked at length about this before, right? The intent was that we build it the way we agreed upon with 4 lanes so that we have the option to add striping later on. Right? If we get more businesses, if we get a downtown, we've already engineered it so we can change the lines or change the striping and bring it down to 2 lanes and have parking. I think right now we're just going to cause congestion today for hopes and dreams tomorrow.
Understood.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to say that on-street parking, even though it says you're not allowed to do it, I lived through hell for a year when my neighbor built his new house. The police don't stand behind it. People will park on the street all they want, and the police will just say whatever. So there you are for that. On-street parking is not allowed, but it is allowed. They just turn their eye away and say that's it. And I don't, who's going to park if we stripe Pine Street? Who is going to come and park there? What business? There's nobody there. I mean, Keenan, but Keenan has his own parking. Why should we make parking for him? He has his own. So I'm totally against doing that. I travel that road almost every day, multiple times. And we turn off on Ridge or we go straight. We need the double.
Particularly in the morning when there's the school,
Yeah.
because that backs up all the way to the bridge, coming from Spring Lake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you know, at 7 a.m. it's more congested, and then to add to what Mike was saying, anytime that bridge is up, it's very backed up. So,
Public comment?
You're on.
I'll be quick, Jerry. I think it's a wonderful idea to stripe Pine Street. As a motorcyclist, we are taught make eye contact at the intersection with every single person on the intersection. And there's a lot of people in that intersection that I gotta make eye contact with, that when I hesitate to pull my clutch because I didn't see, then they think it's their turn to go. And it's not. That's the worst intersection in the area for a motorcyclist. I don't even go to the one on Jackson and Grand Haven because that one's even more dangerous. But it would still be 2 lanes going through 3rd Street, so if you're coming from Spring Lake, there'd still be 4 lanes there as I understand it. But kind of with the bump out thing, driving construction trucks, it's hard to get around those bump outs, and sometimes it's just easier to just pull onto the street and pull right back out. So striping it, I think the real advantage of striping it isn't just to provide the parking, it's to get people to slow down, and to get people to slow down, where Sitco is, because there's another crossing right there, and there's no way to cross that safely. And the crosswalk marks aren't even marked very well anymore, and it goes diagonally across there. It's not a good place. I don't cross there. I go all the way down to the 3-way stop and cross with my bicycle there. But to try and do it with kids would be really, really difficult, I think. And, another duck just got hit on Willow there, so on Pine Street. And the people that live there, they're kind of attached to those animals that they see every day. And it's not nice when you see, you know, a whole family of little ducks that doesn't have their mom anymore. I can't unsee that, which I have seen. So I think it would help 168th too. And my husband had said something about maybe a welcome to Ferrisburg thing on Van Wagner and 168th, so that people coming from Fruitport, you know, doing 55, see, okay, residential area here, now it's 35, because they're coming from, the last stop sign on 168th is by the library in Fruitport. So you get to go that whole distance without a stop sign until you get to, you know, Van Wagner and 168th, and then the three-way stop downtown. So anything to make those cars go slower, you know, and make it easier for pedestrians to cross, and then to stop the marina guests from parking there all day, just a 2-hour limit or a 3-hour limit, that would stop people from going there in the morning, going on the boat, and never moving the car. So I think it would get used, and I think it would solve a speed problem too. So thank you.
Anyone else have anything new to add?
Yeah, I have a few things. First of all, this issue came up during the Economic Task Force years ago, and what we were trying to do at the time is to promote a downtown. And at that time, Keenan Marina had a storefront with several businesses in there that were kind of struggling because during the weekend there's no parking in there because of the boaters, and they're even parked up in the grass beside the parking lot. And so it was getting a little obnoxious, and that's why we first promoted this parking down Pine Street. But at this point, and I've talked to business owners down Pine Street, and they feel the same as I do. At this point, it's a little premature until we develop that area, and then we can go forward and maybe think about parking. But at this time, I just think that it's only going to cause confusion in that area. And one thing that we haven't thought about is snow plowing in the winter. If people are parked in there, it's going to create a lot of issues for the snow plows in the winter. That's something we're going to have to address and think about as well. So at this time, I'm not for this. I do think there is potential for parking there in the future, but not at this point. That's all.
Very good.
So it seems like the consensus to leave it as is. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Your Honor, I would make a motion that we move the work session for the park millage to the next council meeting. We're getting kind of late here. We're all old. Bedtime.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of
them. All right.
We need a vote on that.
Do we need a motion? We need to vote on that.
See if I
Craig?
got consensus from council, that's fine.
Okay. Consensus is to table it.
There you go.
Very good.
Postpone.
Do we have any additional public comments? Seeing none, let's move forward. Report, city manager.
No report?
Very good. Mr. Cook, why don't you go first with council member reports?
Do we have an update about the water fountain at Sunnyside Park?
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry?
The water fountain, we got several letters, or at least I did, from a concerned resident. They stated that the water fountain, they'd like that put back on the Sunnyside Park bathroom. I think there was a discussion at a previous council meeting that the fountain had been damaged due to vandalism, but that we were applying for a grant to get a new one. Do we have any update on replacing that fountain?
The grant committee is meeting at the end of this month, and we'll know better at the time.
Okay, the next item, can we think about or have a work session on removing deadlines for board applications? I just feel like there aren't enough people applying, and if they miss the deadline, well, they've got to wait until we open it back up. I think just having a rolling deadline and then letting the mayor determine whether he has enough or she has enough would be more appropriate than setting deadlines. The last thing, the traffic on 168th is still a problem, despite there being a warning that a stop sign is coming up, despite there being 2 stop signs and flags on it. We did a traffic study. We went through the MDOT recommended procedure, which basically said, yes, there's a problem, but the recommendation was to wait until there was an accumulated 5 traffic incidences at the intersection before doing anything else. I would like to override that and use city authority to basically say we need to do something now. There are violations with respect to visibility at that corner that the city did look into. I believe the police said that the trees that were there are fine. It's difficult to see when you're at the intersection at 168 to turn right or turn left. There are issues with pedestrians trying to cross at that crosswalk. People don't seem to slow down and look. There are also safety concerns from several residences. I was at the intersection today with my family in our minivan, waiting to turn right to go across the bridge. Someone came from the opposite direction and almost clipped our front bumper because that angle, they don't have to turn at a 90-degree angle onto 168th. They can continue at their rate of speed and cut in at that point. What I would like to do is use the city authority to create a four-way stop at that intersection. Alternatively, some type of rumble strips would also work, or a lighted crosswalk, maybe something that we can use our $30,000 DIA savings to increase the safety at that location, and maybe other locations within the city for pedestrians.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
You can't stop stupid people from being stupid. I'm sorry. I don't care what you do. You put a four-way stop sign there, somebody's gonna run it and kill somebody. I'm sorry, D. I don't know what the answer is.
Did you get through your list, Mr. Cook?
I'm done.
Okay. Staff, you can take that under advisement.
Yes.
No report.
Okay.
The Beautification Commission is working toward the 4th of July. We're making progress. We have, our volunteers are lined up, and I think we're going to be able to pull it off. So that's where we're at. We're working on it.
Can I add something?
Of course.
And speaking from the Beautifications Committee's point of view, and yeah, sorry, Deb, I don't mean, but we're also looking for people for the 4th of July parade. If you know any businesses that would like to participate or individuals, we're possibly going to open it up to veterans, all veterans in the city be able to march. So yeah, it's just something I wanted to mention.
Yeah,
So
good job, yeah.
sorry, Deb.
No,
Thank
but
you,
we
Jerry.
definitely want the veterans. If we can.
Mr. DeWitt?
At a future council meeting, I'm gonna make a presentation about the 5% brownfield fund. Just wanted to mention it. That's it.
Okay. Mr. K?
No report.
Okay.
We had a rec commission meeting last week, discussed the party in the park that will start this summer or continue this summer. Bands are lined up, food trucks are lined up. Hope to see you guys there.
Good. And the mayor has no report.
Motion to adjourn.
Be quiet.
Thank you, everybody.